Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk and Josh Bowe. You're joining us very late. It's about 11:15 here on Thursday, November 14th. I'm joined as always by Josh Bowe. We're co-editors over at MavsMoneyball.com.
Maybe not after tonight. This might be my last show. This might be my resignation live on air.
Well, cool. At least you would be acknowledging and being honest about your performance, and instead of showing up to work like a slack ass like these fucking Dallas Mavericks. They lost their fourth straight game, this time to the Utah Jazz, 115 to 113. I've been simmering for a while, and I'm not even really mad anymore. I took kind of it out in my recap. Why don't you go first?
So just to set the stage, I haven't had a good couple days personally. Not bad, like totally like first, like nothing actually bad. Like after my summer, what happened to me these last couple days is not a big deal. But like I went yesterday to get my blood drawn because I got to go to the doctor next week. And I got my updated COVID and flu shots, and I'm the dumbest person on the fucking planet. I got those two shots the same time the day before my wife went out of town for the weekend, and I'm alone babysitting my daughter, solo parenting. I cannot tell you, that might be the stupidest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. I feel like ass, and my daughter's great. There's nothing wrong with her.
I did try to give you an out at like
you did, and I told you, I was like, it's fine. They're gonna win like 117, 102, and we'll just be like, yeah, they did what they were supposed to do, and we'll stop, and it's fine. And no, I had to watch that bullshit. Like, what a waste of my fucking time. And you guys know me. I don't get that mad about this. I don't get that mad about it. But that was...
Well, it's so many... So bad. It's like to work our way backwards on this. I think we have to work our way backwards, even though how they got there, I think, is extraordinarily important to how the Mavericks lost. And it has been 15 years, guys. 15 years. Do 15 years times 30 basketball teams times 82 games. I don't know how many fucking basketball games that is. It's a lot. It's been 15 years since a team has lost 4 straight games by a single possession. Our Dallas Mavericks managed to do just that. And they did it on a final play where, as you're watching it, I don't know who's bringing the ball up for the floor of the Jazz. Luka bumps into John Collins, his man. And let me just emphasize this again for the morons in the back. John Collins, his man, not anyone else's, Luka Doncic's. Luka Doncic's man, for anyone that can't understand English or understand how basketball works, because I was shocked at the number of people, including the Dallas Mavericks broadcast, that weren't willing to say this was what happened. Luka was looking towards the sideline and towards the corner. Sean Sweeney's clearly trying to communicate something to them. And Luka nearly steps to the 3-point line. Okay. John Collins is on the block. Actually, he's kind of in the short corner. And who was it? Was it Jordan Clarkson in the corner?
No, Jordan's the one who passed it to him. I don't know. I'm guessing it was Keontae George or Colin Sexton.
Colin Sexton maybe looking to come off a curl, and I don't know if they thought they were supposed to switch. Like Luka talked about it post game and took all the blame, which that's what Luka does. That Luka is good about that. He very rarely doesn't take heat that he should take. And Jordan Clarkson rifles like a 45-foot pass. It's the kind of pass that you see in a child's rec league game. I'm sorry. Like, this was heinous for a game-winning dunk.
Yeah, I think he was trying to cheat what guard I think he was like, Collins is going to set a down screen for whatever was in the corner, and he was trying to cheat it, and he got burned.
But he was a good 6 foot out of position.
No, I know.
Like, if he's one step back, I don't think Clarkson throws that pass.
Yeah.
Like, it's defensive lapse or miscommunication. Why Sweeney's even talking to them at this point in the game? I'm kind of like, And okay, fans saying all Lively cost us this game. We're actually going to circle back to Lively because there's a lot to talk about with him.
Like ass.
Michael Scott with the super chat. What if we just blame the refs and act like these losses never happened? This was much easier to accept than reality. Look, guys, I just sometimes you're in the shit, and hopefully in February, March, and April we'll be looking back at this. And we'll be able to say, okay, you remember how bad this was, how much this sucked, but that doesn't make it any easier.
In the moment, you're still allowed to call a spade a spade. Like what I don't care if they win 10 games in a row after this. Like I don't get the time back. Like I could have done a multitude of things that I would have rather done than watch that joke of a game. And and you know me, like, there was no one. I don't know if there was another person that was like tooting this team's horn in the set, like for most of last season and the playoffs. Like, I was like, once they got on that little winning run, they made the trades. I was pretty early in planting my flag and being like, guys, this team is awesome. Like, they are going to make a run. Like, and I repeated that, and they made that finals run, and I predicted them to win, most of the series that they won. So, like, I feel like for me to get this mad about it is like, because now I'm like, did they just spend all summer like thinking, yeah, we were that fucking awesome, right? Yeah, like, did they get high on their own supply? Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I don't know if people understand how bad the Utah Jazz are. This isn't a normal bad team. This is a very bad team, who, by the way, a bad team at full strength, missing their best player, Lauri Markkanen, for like the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they still couldn't pull it out.
Yeah.
This is a team that their average differential, I think, before this game was they were losing games by 13.3 points per game. I mean, and this is an organization that has no intentions of winning. You can see it.
Oh, I mean, they arguably tanked that fourth quarter. Like, yeah. there was
but that's them. That's how bad that team is.
There was some tanking going on there. Like,
that's
the Mavericks
they're a bad team.
Yeah, like the Mavericks were down 16 points early in the fourth quarter.
I don't even care if they pulled off the win. The third quarter nullified anything that happened for the rest of that game.
38 points.
You don't get kudos for coming back against this team that's trying to lose as many games as it can. Has no roster identity. You watch the players. They've got like Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, with a bunch of like young guys that don't really know what they're doing yet. And you've got this weird identity crisis of these veterans that want to win and be, a competitive team, but they're like, but I'm playing with all these fucking kids, and like the kids don't know what they're doing, and like there's no direction. Like, there are bad teams that at least kind of know what they're doing and know what they want to do. The Jazz are totally like, we just want to lose. That's their identity, because they haven't traded Lauri to go, to go full youth movement. They still have Colin. Like, why do they have Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson? Like, why? Because they don't like, and it's just such a bad team. And I can't believe that's the third quarter. It's one thing if we came here and we watched this team and it was like, oh, well, the other team hit 40% of their threes and the Mavericks shot 30. What are you going to do? Because that happens. That certainly happens. But that third quarter was abysmal effort, abysmal body language. That's the part that I'm like, did you guys just think you could, after what you did to get to the finals, did you think you guys could just fucking walk out on the court and that was going to happen again without recapturing that same intensity that let you go on the run that you went on in the first place? Yeah. Like, no excuses, no PJ. Obviously, I guess he's fucking defensive player of the year is PJ Washington. If this is how bad it looks when he's not on the floor, just off, like the turnovers. Do you remember that play where Najee passed it into Daniel Gafford's back in the third quarter? Like, clown show third quarter. Like, it was just like, do you guys want to be here?
No.
I don't understand.
No, and this is where it's like, when you go around and you place blame,
that's the whole team. It's the
whole team. And I want to put Kyrie Irving on his own separate place, because I think Kyrie's had a great season.
He's been,
which for historically, like, I need people to understand just how insane it is for me, of all people, to be saying Kyrie Irving is the one who is blameless in all this. Like, I'm embarrassed by Dereck fucking Lively.
What happened to him? I don't understand what happened.
So the final 7 minutes that he played, he was a big part of the comeback. Got to be clear here. However, he played 17 minutes. What happened in those first 10 minutes? Well, he got his ass kicked by former teammate Kyle Filipowski over and over to the tune of 5 fouls in 10 minutes. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Do you remember the fifth one where he just kind of gave up at the rim and like wrapped him up? I was like, what are you doing?
He put it, and it's like
that. The fifth one was the most obvious of the fouls he committed that night, and it's like, dude, you have 4 fouls in the third quarter. What are you doing? It was like he gave up on the play, which is so weird because we know that that's not what this dude like. I've never seen him play. Like we've seen him play bad games.
He had a bad game. He had a bad game against Warriors. He was like,
but this was like,
this was
like he got monstered. Like I don't understand. Like he didn't know how to put 2 feet in front of the other. It was, or 1 foot in front.
Well, this is what Pete in the comments made me laugh. Where he said, we got geniuses in here asking him to play 30 minutes a night. We need to trade for a real center. Like there's got to be a little bit of a middle ground here because Lively was absolutely excellent in the playoffs last year. He is probably the second best, the most important reason why the Mavericks went to the finals, other than just the team defense is there, but he has not adapted whatsoever to the different kind of physicality that we're seeing.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
But then there's also, and this is more important to me, if you're watching where his fouls are happening, someone's getting whoever is driving past him because these fouls are happening 15 feet away from the basket. That's what's pissing me off. Where Kyle, again, Filipowski, hopefully I'm saying his name right, is getting on his hip with one dribble. You've got to be able to play in space better than that, and he has. We've seen him do it. But what he's doing, in my just kind of uninformed opinion here, just from what I'm seeing, is I think he's block baiting, where he's trying to let people get past him so he can block from behind. And it ain't working.
And that's not what he did. Like one of the things we praised him in the playoffs, I always talked about, was how great he was at not going for block, like just playing straight up floor bound, using his length and not fouling in the playoffs. And now he's chasing block. Like, it's like, wait, what? You didn't do this last year when you were a rookie. Why are you doing it now? I don't get it. It's just, bizarre, but absolutely bizarre. Daniel Gafford was a -19 and their bigs were terrible. I swear to God, we saw Daniel Gafford, Dwight Powell front court on the floor at the same time in the year of our Lord 2024, which goes to show you kid is absolutely he's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like he is rolling through these lineups and that's what he does when he gets pissed off when guys aren't producing. He just starts rolling through guys. He did that tonight. Nothing was working. And Lively might have been the most disappointing player tonight, all things considered, because he's just not. I've never seen him play like that before. We've seen him play poorly and look like a rookie. This was like, I don't know. This was something different. I didn't like it, and especially against a team like no Walker Kessler. Like who was the Jazz for? It was Laurie and
Drew Eubanks.
Yeah, Drew Eubanks. Like he should have dominated these motherfuckers. Like very weird.
And so
weird game.
That's an element of how I feel. So to put on my morning talk radio, my ESPN Get Up take, Lively's playing like he's done something. Lively's playing with a sort of
the whole team is.
Yeah, the whole team is playing with a sense of entitlement. And let's be clear. When you start 5-7, the people who thought your finals run was fake now have ammo.
Yeah, I look like an asshole now. And that's the most important thing because I'm the protagonist of this story. I put everything. I was very much on board with what this team was doing, and I felt like I was ahead of the curve. And now I'm like, I mean, they're going to be fine. I think. I totally understand if no one wants to hear that right now, but presumably they're going to be okay. Presumably they're going to figure out what's going on, and just by pure luck, they're not going to lose every single one of these clutch games. Like that's going to just turn around. Just even if they don't play better, if they keep playing these clutch games, I would presume that the coin is not going to keep flipping the wrong way for them. Otherwise, it's just not their year. And the basketball gods have decided their fates. They entered this game with the 8th best net rating on cleaning the glass. Like it's the last 3 losses were not, they're not positive games. When you lose, it's not great. But those were 3 like Phoenix, Golden State, Denver are 3 of the best teams in not only in the Western Conference in the NBA. Like it's not like if they would have mixed in the Orlando game and the Chicago game in between those 3 losses, I don't think people are, losing their minds about because it's not a losing streak. Like it's not terrible to lose those games, close competitive games when you're still injured and you're still missing starters. But then this is the one you can't explain. Like this is the one where it's like, I don't even know how it's possible to get down 16 to this roster. Like I really don't.
I mean, John Collins eats the Mavericks alive and has every time, no matter what team he's playing for.
Insane.
And
Lauri didn't even have a good game, and he's their best player. That's like, look at the box score. Lauri Markkanen had the least amount of points in their starting lineup.
It's so bad.
Are you kidding me?
So bad.
He had 13 points. Yeah. Collins had 28. Filipowski 14. Colin Sexton 16. Keontae George 14. You didn't even get beat by the one guy on this team that's like really good.
So you want to know something fun? I was doing some deep diving, just looking at some of the guys that Jason Kidd's putting out there on the floor. And let's be clear, tonight he played some wild lineups, but you're missing Kyrie Irving, you're missing PJ. Daniel Gafford went to the back for whatever injury that he had. And shout out to Klay Thompson for shooting a contested 17-footer dribbling up the floor and apparently not seeing Gafford lying on the ground. Like that was absolutely insane. But so he keeps, I was just looking up random stats because things were starting to bother me. And like we're heading towards the tail end of the show here. We're not going to do a very long one. I'm gonna host a group therapy for anybody who wants to get up here and talk some shit. Because I think we should get this out of our system.
Purge
your takes. Because I mean, we're not the coach. We're not the one thing that I want to make just probably get out of my system is no matter what sort of like trade ideas people are throwing out there, teams don't make trades before the 40 game mark. They don't fire coaches. Like things like this just don't happen 12 games into the year. So like what we should do, in my opinion, is like just rage, get it out, and then get ready for the back-to-back the Mavericks play Saturday, Sunday. But what I was going to say is I was just looking up some random data points. Spencer Dinwiddie has the exact same number of made shots and turnovers this season. Jaden Hardy has one more made shot than he does turnovers. And then he has the exact same number of assists and turnovers. Spencer has 19 assists to 14 turnovers. So it is what it is. And these are the guys that Kidd keeps playing together. Like he keeps playing these two and they look like, what's the term in wrestling for the guys that always get beat? Like
Jobbers.
Yeah, they look like a tag team jobber combo that he throws out there to get fucking wiped.
Local talent.
And Hardy is hilarious in that he will do, like he made a thunderous dunk in traffic, like awesome play. And then like the next 3 shots that he takes are all ass. And it's like, my brother, what are you doing?
Yeah, Kidd was scrambling with his bench. And to be fair, like, I don't know
what he's supposed to do either. I just like, can we play Hardy and Spencer together?
They gotta space this out.
That's bad.
Yeah. They got to figure that part out. But yeah, that's 17 turnovers. How many of them were like really bad? Like just embarrassing.
They had 7 in the first quarter. Like that was the only reason they were winning is because they went like 5 for 10 from 3, I think.
Yeah. They shot 50% from the game. I mean, and then the Jazz shot the Jazz who they can't shoot. Like I can't emphasize enough. It's not a good team. They had 54 points in the paint. Like they had 54 points in the paint and they shot 38% from 3. It's like the same thing that happened against the Warriors and the Nuggets, but this is the Jazz. Those are the Warriors and the Nuggets. So like I could write it off in my head, but like, holy crap! Points conceded off. The Mavericks gave up what 24 points off their. They gave away 24 points off their 17 turnovers. That's bad. 54 points in the paint, like I said, that's bad. The Jazz had 16 offensive rebounds despite missing one of their better front court players. Bad. They somehow lost the game. They had 11 steals and 10 blocks, and they lost.
Yeah.
Don't think you're going to see too many games. NBA teams lose games when they have 21 combined blocks and steals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's bad. You know, Luka is starting to wake up offensively, although his 3-pointer is just it's not there. It's just I don't know where his 3-pointer is, but it's not here. He's cooking a little bit inside the arc, which is nice, but then he had awful turnovers and he had like the terrible defensive possession that loses them the game. I did think it was funny that the 2 final possessions of the game before the Mavericks last one, which we didn't even talk about, which Najee Marshall missed like 3 in the corner after Luka kind of posted up at the free throw line, which is bad. That might be like one of the best things that happened in this game was a missed shot because it wasn't just a step back Luka 3. Like they actually did something different. That shows you how bad this game was. But Kirk, I don't think you could find consecutive worse defensive clutch possessions than the one the Mavericks had to tie the game, where the Jazz doubled Luka using Clay's man 1 pass away from Luka. Like the stupidest, most brain dead thing I'd ever seen, only to get topped by the Mavericks' next defensive possession where they give up a dunk off 1 pass, in a tie game with 6 seconds left. Like just spectacular stuff.
No, I don't want to do this, but somebody shared a clip from the baseline videotaping Jordan Clarkson's face. And when he sees Collins open, his eyes get like as big as dinner plates.
Yeah. Cause it's not Jazz certainly didn't run that up. Like they didn't do anything. Like they didn't set a screen. They just got a game winner out of nothing. Yeah, it was like taking candy from a baby. Like
I so love Twitter, man. Somebody who follows me, like Guy follows me, replied to my recap post and said, "No one is going to read your shitty article." Why are you following me? That like social media is so peculiar. I love it.
People like to be mad.
I know.
So I've been there. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't get that ranty, but like, I feel like crap. I'm achy, tired. And I could not believe that third quarter. And the body language was like guys, and not just Luka. Luka is going to take the brunt of a lot of it. And I'm not even trying to say he doesn't deserve it. His body language was terrible too. But like the whole team just, again, it's been a long time since I've seen a team just not want to be there. And we're 11 games into the season. 12. Sorry. This is not March or February. Like this is not, I'm waiting to get to the All-Star break. Like, so I can go on vacation. Like, motherfucker, have you seen that? You talk about it. Their schedule does not get easier. I mean, they get the Spurs next, but like they don't get 2 days off for a while. They're playing every other night for the rest of the November. They got who they got? They play the Timberwolves, they play the Clippers, the Grizzlies. I mean, not some of these teams are really scuffling. Like there's not a murderer's row here, but they're playing every other night. So they're not going to get like a day off or like a practice day off or whatever, but like they got to start stacking some wins. And I just, if PJ comes back and everything's fixed, that's great. But like PJ should not, I don't know. I guess he's the best defensive player on the roster. I don't know. Like that's my main takeaway from this game. I guess I don't know. Like buy PJ stock, I guess, because he is that crucial to the team. And I don't know. Do you have anything else? I don't know what else to say. Just a waste of time.
No, I don't have anything else to say. I just think this is worth saying out loud. I don't, just because it's actually kind of a good question. I'm not going to go to Blue Sky for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't want to follow a new thing. Number two, kind of for our purposes, and I wrote this in the chat, and this is the way it goes. After 15 years, Twitter has 200 million users. Blue Sky has however many Blue Sky has. When it comes to like audience stuff, 10% of Twitter users make up 90% of Twitter content. So that means 90% of the people might check in every great once in a while.
Yeah, most people lurk on Twitter.
Right. Or they lurk or they're just not on it. Like I have 20,000 followers. I would bet 8,000 of them are real and active. I would bet 500 actually see my tweets. Right. Yeah. So it's like those 500, including like people that join this from Twitter and whatnot. I want them actually to be able to see my stuff. I mean, you joined Blue Sky and you already have like 450 bot followers. Like that's not something I'm interested in is all. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. I don't need one more thing to manage is really what. Now, if there was way back in the day, there used to be APIs where you would post on one site and it would post elsewhere. Like when I post on Facebook, it posts on Threads against my wishes.
Facebook's like, we're getting this motherfucker.
Yeah,
I don't care.
No, it's really something. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go to a second show. That my man Brian's already waiting. I hope more of you join and talk.
Get it out of your system. That's what I think.
Right. It's you know, we can't do anything about it. Like you read Jason Kidd's post game stuff, and he's just, you know, it's like this is just another game to these guys because it is. Like they are always like it drives us crazy. We're supposed to live moment to moment. That's what fanning is.
Well, he already pulled the "I'm pissed off" card after the Denver loss, which was
that's right. And it apparently didn't make a difference.
Right. You can't be mad after every game to the media because that eventually gets old. So. Yeah, I'm not surprised he had a different temperament.
Yep.
All right. Well, have fun with the fans. I hope people come up. I know it's late.
I know. Me too. Me too.
Gotta get out of their system. So,
all right. We'll be right back.
I'll go. Bye.
Bye. Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Mavericks Group Therapy. This is our secondary live show where if you want to join and talk a little basketball with me, rant and rave, say something you actually liked about the game, if there was anything you might have liked, click on I'm going to post the link again in the comments, and then I'm going to go pin it on YouTube. Join the show, and then, I'll bring you up one at a time, and we'll hang out till folks are ready to go to bed. Coming up first is my man, Brian. Brian, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Oop. I removed you by accident. Try again. There we go. Unmute yourself, though.
Oops, sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. Hey, Kirk.
Hello.
I hate this team.
You hate what?
I hate this team. I hate everything about this team.
We're there. How depressing.
I hate like 95% of the players on this team. I hate every coach on this team. I hate everybody in the front office for this team. I loathe the ownership of this team. I hate our star player. I hate our second star's ligaments.
I think they just gave him a rest day.
It was a rest day, and I was cool with it. Because I was saying all day long, it's fine that Kyrie rests tonight. Because the Mavericks have been doing the one thing they've been doing this season that they did last year is taking care of rat teams.
Yes, they were. They've finally gotten good at that. Mm-hmm.
And this Utah Jazz team is the rattiest of the rat teams. And I've been saying that all day long. And, of course, my karmic revenge is, no, they fucked this up too. in very embarrassing fashion. Not only do they let the worst team in the league, whose star wasn't shooting well and then was missing for the last 4 minutes of the game, build a 16-point lead on you that you have to climb back out of. Then you lose in the clutch on some of the dumbest defensive breakdown. Did you see that stretch in, I believe it was the second quarter, as they were building the lead that we had to break to get to having a 3-point lead at halftime, where Luka came down? No, this must have been in the third, actually. Luka came down and bricked 4 straight step back threes.
I remember 2 of them.
I think there were like at least 3 consecutive possessions of bricked threes where Utah built their lead because Jordan Clarkson was hitting threes while he was missing them, including that one absolutely bullshit one that wouldn't have gone in had Hardy decided to play defense instead of flop.
Yeah.
The one, I guess there are 2 good things you can take away.
Sure.
I'll be generous and say 3.
Okay.
Quentin Grimes responded
look good
perfectly to the benching of the Denver game with how he played in the last game, and he came out even better in the first half of this game. I was elated by that. Najee Marshall had a bad first quarter and could not shoot and would not shoot very often, which was a precursor to the last shot of the game. But he still played really hard, and he scored in transition, and he kept the ball moving so that Luka didn't have to at times, and that was nice. And the third thing is, as bad as this team was over the course of this game, they didn't start down 8 to 10 points in the first 5 minutes after making Lively the starter. And as poorly as he played, I do think that is a part of the reason for that. And that is why in the third quarter they built a 16-point lead and not a 25-point lead. This team is only built apparently to play from behind. And playing from ahead is just not possible when your best player just doesn't value possessions. Just the live ball turnovers, the ill-advised step back threes, the ill-advised contested middies. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like the defense is a whole other thing. They benched Clay, closed the game because the defense was untenable. And the lineup that got us back in the game was without.
I mean, I don't know if any lineup got the Mavericks back in the game. The Jazz were tanking. Like you could see Danny Ainge standing behind. What the hell's his name? They're
Will Hardy. Yeah.
He looks like the Quaid kid though.
Yeah, he does look like Huey.
He looks like Huey, and I'm just like, Huey's coaching. It's good for him. But I like you could see something like they don't want.
Yeah, they actively tried to give the game back in the last 8 minutes, and we just didn't want it.
No. Well, I mean, we did, and then we're like, you know what? We don't want it. Have it right back. So, well,
that is the most embarrassing loss since they let Toronto come back from being down 33 on them years ago.
I don't know.
This is the most embarrassing loss since then.
There's always embarrassing losses. The ones where I get the ones that I would get real mad. That's why Josh being so pissed was amazing because I really honestly wasn't expecting that. He and I didn't talk at all before the podcast, so that was pretty great to hear Josh Bowe angry as shit. Oh man. Well, thank you for starting the show off. You all right?
No, I'm not okay, but I'm gonna be all right. You know.
Yeah, well, just be sure to by Saturday afternoon, be ready to be hurt again.
Brother, right. I will be at the movies on Saturday. I am not watching this team. I'm not watching this team. Not twice, not 2 days in a row.
No, I have basketball practice for my kids' team on Saturday night at 7:30. So I'm like,
be grateful.
Yeah. Maybe they'll learn how to play defense. Probably not. All right. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right. From one Brian to another. Brian Zillum, welcome to the show. Brian is a former contributor to Mavs Moneyball. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right, Kirk. How are you?
Yeah. That sucked, but I wrote my screed in a recap, and I felt good about that. And,
it's an outlet to get out your feelings.
That's right.
Everybody likes yelly Kirk, but I mean,
I wasn't that mean. I just simply said this team needs to buck the fuck up and play.
No. But I think people, especially after a shit show tonight, expected ragey Kirk. I'm gonna fucking throw shit off the wall, and it's just Jason Kidd. You only have so many bullets in the chamber. It's an 82-game season.
Well, it might have had to do with the fact that I had some beverage that has ashwagandha. I don't know how to say it, but it's basically an herb that calms you down. I had that at 10:30. So
we're in the hippie Henderson hour.
That's right.
I mean, it's almost 1 o'clock Eastern time, so why not?
Oh yeah, but I'm here. Remember, I've moved back to Dallas. I'm good.
Well, I mean, all Eastern, because I think Brian, he's Eastern, right?
Oh, Brian's Dallas too.
Okay, well then I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, Brian.
Okay.
So, our good friend Jason Kidd, he's not having a good season to start of the year, Kirk. And it's funny. Every time, well, especially the last 2 weeks, I've received. I don't get bombarded as much as you because I'm just me, but. My friends will text me, what does Jason Kidd do? Why is he here? What does he actually do? And I was like, well, he's a vibes guy. That's, he vibes. And when the vibes are not vibing, you get the office meme. Quite frankly, Jason Kidd, what do you exactly do here? Because you see his expression, Kirk, in the third quarter when they were getting their asses kicked, he kind of made a face. And it was just like, what are you doing? Because I feel like he'd be like, you think back to the year one, the Western Conference run. You always think about him jumping around when he's directing traffic with Dorian. Do you remember that? I think it was against the Suns when they were coming back. You think about that, and obviously the year last year. As someone who did not want Kidd, I didn't really have that much complaints because the year finished the way it did, and when you have a coach to take your team to the finals, I mean, what can you really complain about? Now, I see tendencies where I'm seeing tendencies from year two Kidd, which we wanted to throw Kidd into the abyss, especially after that Lakers game, because you see some of these banger quotes already, and it's like, oh, buddy, we're already 12 games in, and you're kind of just blaming, we're blaming our slow start on Quentin Grimes. He's barely had a cup of coffee.
But then Quentin Grimes came out and responded. So I'm not exactly a Kidd defender, but when you lose to a team that's as bad as the Jazz, the players have to have the forefront of the frustration because Kidd can't make Lively not be a dummy. Committing two fouls and Kidd leaves him out there and he commits his third foul or whichever it was. It was maybe the fourth one. It's gosh. Come on, guy. There could be a super mix from Panda Hank of all the times Luka doesn't put a body on anyone for rebounding, and then the other guy goes up and gets the board. It sucks, man. The players they need to have a little pride. I think Kidd, Josh said this in the recap show. Not sure if you heard. Kidd did get pissed after the Denver game. He was pissed.
Oh, yeah. And then the game before, he was a dick to Tim Cato. I heard that.
And so they proceed to lose. So it's you only have, I really believe this. It's taken me a long time to understand this, 20 years of NBA fandom to really understand this, that you really only have so many times before you kind of lose everyone's attention. I mean, sure. It's why my rants stop being funny when the team sucks, because it's well, we've seen this before. Who cares?
Well, can I counter your counter? Okay, so I believe, because when you look at the bench of the Mavericks, I believe it was Tim Cato who pointed out, I believe the Dallas Mavericks have 15 assistant coaches. You see Philly Rose.
They have many. It's true.
My counter is, if Kidd is not going to be that guy, fine. But you have Shamgod, you have Armstrong, you have Sweeney. There's probably 10 assistant coaches on there. You're telling me one guy can't get up in their face and say, get your shit together, guys? Yeah. We don't have Kyrie tonight. PJ Washington is not the god of defense. You can beat these losers. They want to tank for Coop. Shamgod can go in there and just fire somebody up. And I guess that's what maybe that I feel like the Magic's coach, didn't he kind of do that before he left?
I can't remember.
I feel like he was maybe I'm fabricating that entire thing, but I feel like if there was anybody with fire that would get kind of like pissy in a timeout if shit was going wrong, he would. And this is the greatest count, for every Carlisle. It was time for Carlisle to go. I submit to that. However, this is the polar opposite. You get vibes. You don't get now. Kid can call an okay play from timeout here and there, but like he's vibes. He's ego manager. That's his job. But like if he's not there, if his vibes aren't picking up from the teams and it just stinks, he's just existing. And I want to just make this very clear: Jason Kidd is not going anywhere. He's not. He just signed a multi-year extension. Like before the finals even finished up, he's here to stay. Yep. So this is kind of what we have to deal with. He's not really worth getting upset on. I mean, you can definitely dump on him. I know Brian actually pointed out something that really pissed me off about like the clay for Jaden Hardy. Every time Jaden Hardy catches the ball, I feel like I'm watching like a YMCA basketball game. It's like, brother, like just slow it down. Like I don't, and just like Hardy handling the ball in a clutch situation, it gives me the ick.
Yeah,
that just tells me we're gonna lose the game. Like
shouldn't be happening.
No, and you can't tell me Clay's defense was that much better than Hardy's. Like, what was Hardy had like a awesome looking dunk, cool. But I think you even pointed out like, what is it? His like possession to turnover ratio. It's like
pretty. He has a lot of turnovers, many turnovers.
I just don't really understand that at all. And the fact that we had Jaden Hardy of Utah, Jordan Clarkson, kind of ending the game with his and one like oop-de-oop pass while everybody's just like, I don't know, man. And I feel so bad for Sean Sweeney because he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get in position. Like, and I feel so bad for that guy, man, because I feel like he's doing his job. Like, I mean, you're a coach, you're a parent. Like,
I kind of don't get why he was coaching it at all at that point. Like, if you have to tell these guys where to go, then you've kind of lost the thread against the Jazz. But that's just me.
Yeah, and like I know Josh brought it up earlier, but like their persona or aura just like act like their shit doesn't stink.
Yeah.
Like, and we've been spoiled because they've just magically pulled these 75% win percentages after the All-Star break out of their asses the last 2 to 4 years, and it's just like, oh, we can't. It'll be fine. Now, if this was the Eastern Conference, I'd be like, that's fine. No worries. But, like, this is a bear, man. And then Oklahoma City is still kicking ass. I actually feel kind of good about tiny Oklahoma City Sunday, but they have to win both of these games. Like, there's no ifs, ands, bullshit.
They got to do something, man. They got to do something.
These games. Mm-hmm. Like, because you look at their stretch, because they've got the Pelicans, I believe, Tuesday. Because if you look, this should have been an easy 3 out of 4 stretch, and now you've got to go in there and beat some ass. And if you somehow fart around and only come out of here the winners of 3 out of 4, I don't know what you do.
We're about to find out, buddy. Back to back, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep. And Wemby just dropped 50. Good job. Yep. Good luck, Lively.
Yeah. I don't know. I look for that matchup. That's a good get right game. I'm looking forward to that one. But hey, thanks so much for joining, buddy.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
All right. Talk to you. All right. Coming up next is everybody's favorite Jason Kelce impersonator, Jason Gallagher. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. How are you?
All right. Saying hello to Dirk.
He's all I got. He's all we got left, buddy.
That's right.
It's funny because I subbed in for you the last podcast when you're having internet issues, and I
haven't talked to you in like 3 months.
I know.
We just kept missing each other. It's really funny.
I had a good catch up with Josh before I had a good catch up with you. But it was funny because Josh was pointing out that it was how you and I, neither one of us were overly dramatic after the last win. Mm-hmm. I wasn't either. And the last loss. This loss is yikes city, brother. And
Josh was super pissed. Josh Bowe never starts podcasts angry, and he was super pissed.
And I think personally, fans, fans can feel however they want. Josh and I discussed that in detail last time.
Whole point.
Fans, I think fans had the right to be a little bit like, okay, this guy's not falling, guys. The last loss, because it's like they're good teams, whatever. This one shows the primary issue with the Dallas Mavericks this year, the thing that I was worried about coming into the season, which was they're a weird ass team that loves to coast at the worst times. And this game was the like shining star on that thesis, because they look terrible, and it all kind of comes down to like effort and focus. And it's like, there are people arguing with me on Twitter that are like, well, they had a horrible offseason, or they're trying to blame this, that, and the other. I'm like, dude, they're too talented to lose to the Jazz. Regardless of what you think about the offseason, this is not on Klay Thompson or Najee Marshall. Obviously, we want those guys to play better, but this ultimately is not on them. It is clearly a focus issue. It is clearly a maturity issue. It is clearly a discipline issue. And they, like, personally, as a fan who has good long-term perspective and everything like that, I am so glad they got smacked in the mouth. I'm so glad it's trending. I'm so glad it's out there. I'm so glad that what happened on that last defensive breakdown is going to be memed into oblivion. I'm happy about it, because there is enough time to fix it, and there's enough talent to fix it. That's what I think, but it has to be fixed. Like the last game, I had a much different tone. This one is a bit more like, guys, Jesus, like you cannot put out that kind of effort and expect to win in the Western Conference. I don't care if it's the Jazz. I don't care. Like, you can't do it. And so yeah, there's a part of me, maybe it's a sick part, that's just like, good, get smacked, get your egos taken down 10 notches, that you can't fuck around your way to winning basketball games. So
it's the right, I think it's the correct take if you're looking at the long view. I mean,
but that, yeah,
it's taxing. It's really taxing, and it's not, I choose to do all this stuff, so I don't want to complain about it. But it's like, there's a lot of, every year there's always the thoughts of like, what if I chose differently?
Well, you wouldn't have the relationships you have. You wouldn't have the highs are very high. That's the one thing Josh and I talked about last year, or last episode, was just like, this is what this team is like. The highs are highs and the lows are lows, and you're just like, how and why? And we're just never going to get the Nuggets. Like, we're never going to get this model of efficiency. We're always going to do this.
Well,
with that, this is some pretty remarkable memories.
I'm glad you touched on that, though.
Yeah.
You want to hear a spicy take for Game 12?
Yeah.
Luka cannot win MVP.
Ever?
Not this year.
Oh, yeah. I think that ship has sailed.
I think it's sailed.
It's too exhausting of a thing to argue about for you.
You and I spent so much time talking about it last year, whole podcast, and then for him to do this is really embarrassing. I mean, you hear Tim Legler beating around the bush when he talks to Adam Mares. I don't know if you listen to the All-NBA podcast.
I like it, yeah.
But it's Mares, like Legler beats around it, but it's like, he's like, look at what he is saying in slightly coded language is Luka came into the season looking worse than last year, and that's shocking to him. And
I mean, it actually,
it's shocking to me too.
It actually tracks why he looks worse. I mean, something that Josh touched on, from Bobby, that he, the teams committing to not blitzing him has messed with him.
Oh yeah.
Clearly, I think he was a much better player when he was getting blitzed, and so, but by and large, I agree. He does not look the same. He doesn't look very, it was weird. I was trying to explain this last episode where it was like, he doesn't look happy, which oftentimes he doesn't, but it's like to start the season, he rarely comes out like the way he's just looks angry and all that stuff.
Started some of this you can really chalk up to specific circumstances. His rookie year, he was coming off the Real Madrid season where he was tired coming into the year. 1920 was the year they got off to a 16-5 start. He looked amazing. He looked like an MVP candidate then. Mm-hmm. Then he showed up in the bubble looking the best he's ever looked. Then that next year, which was essentially 4 months later, and if you go look at pictures of, if you have a Getty subscription, I don't know if you do, if you do, go look at Luka Doncic versus the Milwaukee Bucks in 2020. It was like December of 2020.
Yeah,
he looks as bad. Like there's like memes. It looks like a Photoshop. Like he is carrying. And Tim McMahon reported he showed up to that camp close to 280. And you can see it. And so that was different though because they didn't know when the season was going to start. So But then like 20, so that was 2020, 21, 22 also didn't show up very well. But then he got into great shape. The Mavericks found a run and they made it to the Western Conference Finals, so who cares? 22, 23 was the frustrating season from hell where things never really were right. Last year was last year where they made it to the finals. And I actually thought he started the season pretty well because we were pretty pissed at the start that he had because he's scoring champ. Like he was scoring 1 billion points from the very beginning.
Last year was his best season.
And then this year, like I don't, whether he had a calf injury or not, whether he didn't want to play in the preseason or not, I don't really blame him for and I don't blame the Mavericks for taking it easy with him because it's, again, the guy has a ton of basketball miles, but I'm just surprised.
Well, I want to point out something about the reason why I am no longer arguing for his MVP candidacy. Not that there's a good argument to be made, but regardless, it's simply like we had a podcast, not plug-in, but we had a podcast this week with Dante DiVincenzo and Duncan Robinson, and they talked about culture within teams and how Duncan kind of was just like, honestly, let's be real. The best players, the superstars on your teams are the ones to set the culture. As much as you want to talk about like this or that or whatever. And so they referenced Jimmy and they referenced Steph and they referenced these guys. I think Luka, the leadership thing is just, it's very apparent if you watch every game that he is like, I don't think he's coming across as the best leader right now. And I don't want to say anything controversial, but it's like when you start every season slow, when you start every playoff series down 0-1, when you start every first quarter down, I just am like, that's a reflection of leadership. You can blame it on the coach. I mean, coach is involved in that, but I think your best players, I mean, that's part of the big salaries. It's part of being the best players. That is a reflection of your leadership. And I think that is the part, that is the single part that I'm like, I really hope he improves on that, because it literally starts with him, because everything trickles down. If you're, some other player there and you watch the effort and the lapse of judgment that happens on defense, like how that's going to reflect down. It's going to trickle down. And I think that is that's just a huge thing. And it's a huge reality, because I still think he's top 2-3 most talented player in this league. Sure. Still, I think if I'm building a team from scratch, he's pretty high up there. It's just like he's getting to be, at least from watching, he's getting to be grading. His like personality, everything like that is getting to be grading. And I kind of can't see a world where that doesn't permeate down to the rest of the roster. I
mean, it clearly does for anybody that's not a Mavs fan. Like, he is not a well-regarded player. Like, Nikola Jokic is essentially, doing a better version of what Luka did for 2 years. Yeah. And he's kind of the runaway MVP at the moment.
Yeah. And you see how engaged he, like, I can't remember when Dallas played Denver a few nights ago. And I mean, did you see how wide it was? Like a defensive possession. Jokic, like camera cuts to Jokic and he's got wide eyes and he's telling his guys exactly where they need to be. I don't know if you remember this shot.
I do.
It was right after a timeout. The coaches had just gone through this, but he reiterated to his guys. Now I love moments like that with superstars because those are the things that you can't really count. But it's like that type of leadership is the kind of thing that you don't see terribly often from Luka. And it happens occasionally, but is that annoying if you're playing with a guy who occasionally is like, I care about defense this possession? it's just I think he really, I don't even know. I don't know how to I don't know how to manage that. I have no idea. A part of me is like, he needs to be put in ref timeout. He cannot talk about a ref. For fuck's sake, you can't make that kind of real mistake at the end and then complain about it. Like you just literally can't. And so I'm at the point where it's like, I still defend the guy. I'll defend this guy until forever. He's given us some unbelievable moments. He will give us some unbelievable moments.
Sure.
He king.
Today was a great offensive game for him, with the exception of a few rough shot decisions, but.
I think he needed a moment. I'm of this opinion that it's early days. We got time. We got the talent. They needed to be smacked. Ever since that finals, they needed to be embarrassed. And hopefully this is embarrassing. Enough. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. It's like you play really well against Phoenix, Denver, and Golden State, 3 pretty elite teams this year. You play well against healthy versions of those teams. So it's like, I know I'm not dumb. I know this team is talented enough.
Sure.
Do they have a switch that turns on to say, oh shit, the other teams are trying pretty hard, we should do the same?
You would hope, but we're gonna have to see, man. Gonna have to see.
Yes, sir.
Oh gosh. All right.
What else you got? What else you got?
Nothing. I want to go to bed, I think.
Yeah, good for you.
I want to go to bed.
We should do a real podcast sometime. You and
we should. It's hard. The Mavs play games pretty much every other day the rest of the month. Have you looked at the schedule?
Yeah, I have. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I've been doing these playbacks, which are fun. We get 30, 40, 50 people hanging out. It's it's not the same as a podcast. You're just kind of watching and talking shit. But then I'm just like, this is a lot of games left, which is kind of the point. And that's where it's the long view. Josh said before we closed out, he's like, tell everybody, let's get this out of your system. Meaning anybody who's mad, and then come back for the next one. And I think that's the right approach.
I think get it out of your system. Get a couple. I do think these next 2 games are winnable. I mean, Oklahoma City is still a great team, even small. I will be at that game, but hopefully they haven't lost a game while I'm in that arena.
Oh, I like that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it. I don't know if everyone else is, but I'll bring it.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Later. Okay. Last but not least, Sam. What's up, Sam?
Kirk, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Long time no talk. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been kind of in the background. I've been watching, but I'll be quick. I know you're tired. I was actually gonna make another point, but with you and Jason talking about Luka and the MVP, which I agree, he's done. He's not gonna win MVP this year. Just at this point, forget it.
It's just too much of a thing you could hang over his head.
Yeah, and when y'all were bringing up that point, I was actually reading an article. I don't even know how it popped up, but it popped up a couple of days ago about Jokic, about how after the 1920 season when they went on the hiatus because of the pandemic, he actually he was in shape, but he was in shape, and then he came back in the bubble and he was in shape, and ever since that point he's been that guy. I mean, hell, they got to the Western Conference Finals, and then the next year, you had the shortened season. It was even shorter for him because, they played more games in the bubble, and he played every game that year. I think he missed 1 game out of 7.
Right.
And he won MVP. Obviously, he won it because Embiid got hurt, but he still won it. Then he won it again. He probably should have won it the next year, but Embiid got it because, it's a pity MVP for him. And he's the front runner to do it this year. And what does he do? Does he complain? Yeah, he complains. But he just goes out there. Jason pointed out, he tells guys what to do on defense. He just does what he does.
Yeah.
And Luka, he does what he does, but sometimes you just don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know if he's gonna be pouting, because in that third quarter he was pouting. He was bitching. Like you could tell he's like, oh, this is bullshit. Like this, he was just pouting, and that's how they got down by 16 points. And it's like the team is talented enough to come back against a team that's, let's be honest, not trying to win, the Jazz, and they still beat us. So I don't want to get upset because, like you said, it is 12 games. But the fact is that they came back from a finals loss. Everybody knew, like, okay, they're going to be motivated. We don't want to start off slow. We want to come out the gates just hot. You know, I'm not saying be 13-0 like the Cavs, but, you know, you want to be 8-4, 9-3, something like that, something decent. Because now, look, you've already lost to Golden State. You've already lost to Phoenix. You've already lost to Denver. You've lost to Utah. Like, these matter at the end, where you want to be a top 6 seed. You know, these are going to come back to bite you. You lost twice to Phoenix already. You already lost twice. So now it's like, okay, I don't know if they play 2 more times, where you can maybe get a tiebreaker or something with that, but you're just giving games away. And it's kind of like last year in the clutch, it's like, was Dante Exum that big in the clutch for us that we need him, to play clutch games? Because when he was there, we were winning these clutch games last year. I don't know why, but we were. And now he's not here, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And even the sad fact is, with all these games that we've blown, we've had a lead in every game in the last 2 minutes.
Yes, that's what's painful. That's it. And they're 1-6 in clutch games so far.
Yeah, that's horrible. And the fact that we've had leads in these games, and it's just like every time you see a 2 or 3 point lead, you say, "How are they going to blow it this time?" That's why I tell myself at this point.
Yep.
But like I said, the only good thing is, it's an embarrassing loss. It's giving me that Detroit Pistons game in 2022 when the only game on that night, and we got beat by the crappy ass Pistons.
Oh God, I remember that one. Fuck, that sucked.
But the good thing is, it's early. You would hope they wouldn't start off like this, and here we are. But hey, the season doesn't start till Christmas, right?
You're right.
But yeah, that's all I got. Like I said, it's just it's. I don't blame everybody for being pissed off, because it's kind of like, bro, what are y'all doing? We invest everything into this team, and I might say, obviously, I'm not a basketball player. I haven't played basketball professionally since high school, and it's kind of like, just act like you care,
Body language is a big deal, man. We all see it in HD. It's so obvious. Like when they cut to the Mavericks during timeouts, it feels awful. It feels like a staff meeting that no one wants to be at.
Yeah, the vibes are definitely not immaculate right now. They're definitely not. But yeah, that's all I got, Kirk. You have a good night, man.
John, man, good to hear you. I hope you come back. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
All right, have a good one.
All right, go.
All right, guys, this has been fun. Saturday, Josh is going to have to go solo. I have a basketball team to coach, and then I have something I have to do socially, and I don't really have a social life, so this is going to be weird for me. But I will be back on Sunday for sure. Maybe we'll give Josh a little bit of a break. Thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys lasting and hanging around here. Everybody be good, and go Mavs.